everybody's doing fine. On this video, what I want to do is I want to go over the eye, part of the special senses. But the eye is just fascinating. Just the idea of light rays coming from the sun, millions and millions of miles away, and then going into our eye is just astounding. And then for us to be able to see everything in color, in sharpness, it's just amazing engineering. So basically the light rays, what they do is that they're going to go through, you see the little black dot in the middle here, those are called pupils. Light rays go through those pupils, which is the window to your eye, and then the light rays sit on the inner layer of the eye, which is called the retina, or the neural tunic, and then there's receptors in there, photoreceptors, cells that pick up those light rays and convert it to chemical energy to the brain, and then the brain will process, give you a visual of what you're seeing. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but at least that gives you an idea. Well, let's go over, start off with the muscles of the eye, these muscles that help move, shift your eye to the right, to the left, up, down, and diagonally up and down. Okay, there's 4 muscles that are straight, and it's going to be pretty easy to name. They're called recti muscles. There's a superior rectus muscle here on the top, a lateral rectus muscle on the side, which will pull your eyes to the side. Okay, so you look to the right with my right eye, not the left eye. And then you have a muscle here medially, okay, that goes straight back, right there. That makes you go look towards the middle, okay. And then you have a muscle that's in the bottom, right there. That's going to be the inferior rectus. So you have the superior rectus muscle, lateral rectus muscle, medial rectus muscle, and in the bottom, inferior rectus muscle. Then you're going to have these 2 muscles that are going to come at an angle, so this muscle right here, it's on the top, and it goes through this little trochlea. It's like a little hole, okay? And then it goes through there, and then the tendon comes and sits right on top of the eye, okay? All right. And that's the superior oblique eye muscle. Then you have an inferior oblique muscle, which is going to be in the bottom. I don't think I can take this off here, but you'll be able to see it down here. Inferior oblique comes across the eye. So those are our 6 muscles that make you look up, down, to the sides and to the middle, or up at the corner or down in the corner. Okay. I mean, if you want to know the nerves that stimulate it, you can say that let's start with the trochlea, which is cranial nerve number 4. The trochlea is nerve is going to stimulate the superior oblique eye muscle because it goes through that little trochlea. Then the abducens, which is cranial nerve number 6, is going to stimulate the lateral rectus muscle. Okay, that's going to make you look, not this eye, it's going to make you look to the side. Okay, because this eye is going to follow. So the trochlea stimulates the superior oblique, and the abducens stimulates the lateral rectus to look to the side, and then the last 4 muscles, which is the superior rectus, the inferior rectus, the medial rectus, and the inferior oblique, is stimulated by cranial nerve number 3, which is the oculomotor nerve. Okay, so there's this gigantic model I have here, but it's the only one I can really show you a structure. Okay, this big eye model. There's the pupil, where the light rays go through. This gland up here, let me tilt it a little bit. Gland up here, that's called the lacrimal gland, and lacrimal gland sits in the corner of your eye here and here, and the lacrimal glands have ducts that extend from it, and those ducts will lead to the front of your eye. The lacrimal gland, what it does is it releases tears, okay? And those tears are going to go through the ducts and across your eye, and then the tears will either go down your face if it gets too filled, and then basically those tears, the first thing you think of is emotion. Somebody passed away that you love, or broke your heart, and you tear, you get tears. Or another function is that the tears are going to clean the front of your eye, so they act like a like windshield wiper fluid, cleaning the windshield of your car, but instead it cleans the front of your eye. And then the tears will go across your eye or down your face, and then it's going to go to this lacrimal sac, and then eventually it's going to go down the nasal lacrimal duct, will empty into your nose. Okay, so the tears eventually are going to go down your face or eventually go into your nose, leading for you having to blow your nose. Okay, so we did the muscles, we did the tear circulation there, and then let's start getting into the actual eye itself. Okay, the eye is going to be divided into 3 different layers. Okay, there's the fibrous tunic, which is the outermost layer of the eye. Then you have the middle one, which is the vascular tunic, which has the blood vessels. And then the innermost layer is called the neural tunic, which have the photoreceptors and pick up the light rays and then convert it to electrochemical energy, which eventually will go to your brain, and then you can process and see. Okay, so let's start with the outermost, which is fibrous tunic. The fibrous tunic is going to be made up of the sclera, which is the white of your eye. Okay, the white of your eye. And then it's also made up of this, so you can see that little plastic right there. That's called the cornea. And the sclera, the cornea is basically the sclera, but it's transparent, it's clear. And the cornea is eventually, if you ever get laser surgery, I did it 20 years ago, and it's the best investment I ever made. What they do is that the people that can't see far, which are myopic, the light rays fall just short of the retina as they go through your pupil and hit the lens. So what they do is that they do the laser surgery where the laser brings down this cornea, and so now when the light rays hit the cornea through your pupil, hit the lens, and then they refract or they bend at a certain point called the focal point, then that focal point will hit the retina just right and you have perfect vision. Okay, so that's the cornea. So the next layer will be the vascular tunic, which is this brown right here. You can see the blood vessels there, vascular tunic, which provide the nutrients to the eye and pick up the waste, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Then we have finally our innermost layer, which is going to be the neural tunic. Remember, this is the pupil, which is the window to your eye, allows the light rays to come in. Here, the iris, which is the color of your eye. Okay? And that iris actually has muscles which allow the pupil to open and close to allow more light rays to come in or not. Okay? If you are exposed to a huge amount of light, then that pupil will constrict, and so it won't hurt your retina. And then conversely, if you're at night walking around and you shut the lights off in your room and it's pretty dark, a little bit of light from the moon, then your pupils will open up a lot to try to take in and maximize the limited amount of light rays that are present. Okay, so let's finalize here with this this model. You can see the layers of the eye, and you can see some cavities or chambers. Here you can see the white of the eye, which is the sclera or the fibrous tunic. Here you see the vascular tunic with the blood vessels, and then over here inside you see the neural tunic, the black bit being the pigmented part, and then you have the neural part, which contains the photoreceptors. Okay, I used to have a lens that sat in here, but it's disappeared. But this lens to the back is called the posterior cavity, and the posterior cavity is going to contain vitreous humor, which is a gel, makes your eye nice and plump, gives it this nice round firm shape. And then from the lens to the front, anteriorly here, you have the anterior cavity, which contains the aqueous humor. And that aqueous humor will help clean the lens. So posterior cavity, anterior cavity. Now the anterior cavity is going to have 2 chambers. Here we're going to have, you can see number 4, that's the posterior chamber. And here in the front you have the anterior chamber. So the posterior chamber, anterior chamber are part of the anterior cavity, which contain aqueous humor. And then the posterior cavity contains the vitreous humor. Let's go over the layers of the eye now. Here you can see the fibrous tunic, which is the sclera. Here you can see the vascular tunic, also called the choroid, which has blood vessels. And here you have the neural tunic, which is called the retina, which contains a pigmented part and a neural part, the neural part containing the photoreceptors. And here you can see a little diagram of what that looks like. So the light rays, you can see it's upside down here, but the light rays are going to go through the pupil like this, and the light rays go through the pupil. It refracts on the lens that sits here, okay, and then the light rays go to the back and hit the neural tunic, and that neural tunic is going to be made up of the pigmented part and neural part. So the light rays are going to go like this. The pigmented part is going to prevent the light rays from passing, so the light rays stay within this area. And then you have these photoreceptors. You see these long skinny ones here? Long skinny ones, those are called the rods, and the short fat ones here are going to be called the cones. Okay, the rods are mainly for night vision, okay, and the cones are for daylight or color. Then the chemical energy is going to go to the bipolar cells, which are these cells, the next cells here. 40 will be the photoreceptors, the rods and the cones. Then you have the bipolar cells, number 39. Number 38 is going to be the ganglion cells, and eventually here you get the optic nerve. And then eventually that optic nerve is going to go cross at an optic chiasm to the optic tracts, eventually to the LGNs on either side of your parietal lobes. And then from there it's going to go to the occipital lobe where you get that visual. Okay? All right, so look at these other structures here. Here you have part of the vascular tunic, which is this brown part. The vascular tunic is going to have the ciliary body with the ciliary muscle, and the ciliary body is going to produce the aqueous humor, goes to the posterior chamber, to the pupil, to the anterior chamber, and then out to a canal called the canal of Schlemm. So that aqueous humor cleans the lens, and then it goes out the canal of Schlemm, and then eventually recirculates, and then you start all over again. Okay, here you can see, hopefully, this blue. It's the color of your eye. That's the iris. That's also part of the vascular tunic. The vascular tunic will have the ciliary body, the iris, and the choroid, which is this brown line here. Okay. We have these little lines here. These little lines right there. Little lines. Those little lines are going to be called the suspensory ligaments, and that's going to be completely around the lens. And it makes the lens either bulge when you're seeing objects near, or flatten when you're seeing objects further away. Okay, this is kind of faded out, but part of the retina or the neural tunic, we have a concentration, about 75–80% of the cones are going to be located in this area here. The center is called the fovea centralis, and there's going to be a circle around it, which is called the macula lutea. So whenever you're looking, and then when you stop, it focuses. That's thanks to the fovea centralis and the macula lutea. Okay, another part of the eye is the optic disc, and the optic disc is a blind spot. So when exposed to large amounts of flash, like from a camera, everything around the optic disc you'll be able to see, because it'll be highly desensitized, and in that optic disc you see a little spot with nothing, so that's called a blind spot. Okay, and then you have the optic nerve. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. That's it for the eye. Okay, hopefully you like this video. It's a little bit long. Well, let me know what you think. If you have any questions, let me know. Take care, good luck, and bye.